Greetings, brothers and sisters around the world. This is Ralph E. Smith, reporter and publisher of GuardianChronicle.com. Welcome to Sunday Like It Is with OpenLine at WBLS 107.5 in New York City.
It does disproportionately affect us. A lot of traumas that we experience in our community are often due to a lot of stressors that we experience in our community. A lot of the suffering that we have, as you've heard me talk about time and time again, is related to our economic suffering. I'm not going to say that that's the only reason why you see a higher rate of domestic violence in Black communities, but it is a contributing factor. And, there are supports out there, both for women and for men, to avail themselves of. And I think it's something that we don't pay enough attention to, but we should point it out. There are therapies, there are treatments that are available. But additionally, we need to always go back to the community foundations where where domestic violence needs to be talked about more and more. I remember, when I was on my book tour in October, going to churches on Sunday mornings to speak about my journey with cancer and, God's, his unwavering, promise. And I remember I'd be in these churches and it'd be October and there'd be nothing on the walls about breast cancer or about domestic violence. And sometimes I would just completely change my word that Sunday morning to center on the prevalence of domestic violence and breast cancer and how more harmful it is, meaning that you have higher rates of death in the Black community for both breast cancer and domestic violence. But it was almost like these were taboo subjects. So on Sunday morning, perhaps as people are making their way to church, they need to remind their pastors and those who are leading in the church, we need to focus on this because it's these two issues. They're big, big, big challenges in our communities. And the church is where people will listen and lean in and sometimes get the help that they need, both men and women. Real issues.
Exactly. Well said. And I said yesterday, as I spoke for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, that it's not just about it being 1 month. So even though it's a month that is dedicated to both domestic violence and breast cancer awareness, we can talk about it anytime. It's every day of the year because cancer doesn't take a break for 1 month of the year. So many people are affected by this. So many people are affected by domestic violence, and that we can talk about it. It's good to talk about it during the dedicated months, Sister Jennifer, but we can talk about it anytime. And these are very, very, very important issues, and we've just been, overwhelmed with so much in the news, but that doesn't mean that we cannot stop down and deal with these issues there in the community. So we do have a special guest with us, and let me just say this real quick. Early voting in New York City and in New Jersey started yesterday, Saturday, October 25th, and it runs through Sunday, November 2nd in both states. And that's before the Tuesday, November 4th general election. So folks began to go out there and cast their votes, so you don't have to wait until the general election. You can go out and cast your votes. We'll get a little bit more into that in the second half, but I had to mention that because what we're going to do and talk about some proposals that is on the New York City ballot, and we have a special guest, and we're joined, Sister Jennifer, by someone that is a friend, and it's amazing. She doesn't just listen to the show occasionally. She listens to the show every chance she gets, and I'm talking about both OpenLine on air and the OpenLine online broadcast. And I'm talking about a trailblazing New York City leader. I'm talking about New York City Speaker Adrienne Adams, the first Black woman to lead the New York City Council. She represents Queens District 28 with unwavering dedication. Again, folks, let's welcome back to OpenLine a family member here. I'm talking about New York Speaker, Madam Adrienne Adams. Good morning, Speaker Adams.
Oh, good morning, Fatine. Oh, that was so nice. Good morning. And good morning, my amazing sister, Jennifer. Fatine, it's so funny you say that, that I listen. I listen every single Sunday, and you know what? It's because it's a habit. It's been a habit for me for over 30 years. OpenLine, to listen to you and and Bob Slade and Brother M2 May and Brother Pickett all those years, and of course the Weekend Review with Cutman and Peter Noel and other. I've been around. So like so many others, OpenLine has been a habit for us, a wonderful habit for us for so many years. So thank you for your work.
Thank you for acknowledging us, and thank you for the work that you continue to do and provide checks and balances here on the mayor of the city of New York by heading up the city council. So let's jump right on in. You're joining us this morning to talk a little bit about the clear up, basically some confusion around the ballot proposals from New York City Mayor Erica Adams. They sound like they are fast-track housing and cut red tape, but there are a lot more beneath the surface that New Yorkers need to understand before they head to the polls. So, I mean, I can go through this, but I think I don't want to repeat myself. I don't want to say this, and then you have to repeat yourself. So, Madam Speaker, why don't you just jump in and talk a little bit about each proposal, and let's clarify some of the misconceptions so folks that know when they go to vote on these proposals, they know what they're voting for.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Fatine, once again. And, the ballot proposals, and thank you for letting me stop by just to go through these really quickly for the listeners, for the family. I just want to start by saying, a lot of things have been said about the city council and housing, one way or the other. There are differing opinions on housing, how to do it, when to do it, how much to do it. But I just want to put it out there, when I became speaker 4 years ago, my mantra to my members, because of the homelessness situation in New York, the epidemic homelessness, was that we cannot ever be the council that says no to housing when there are so many people that need a place to live. So I'll just lay that out. This city council, under my leadership, has approved over 94% of housing proposals, while we have made them better, all of them better, with more affordability and support for our neighborhoods, specifically like the newest one, our Jamaica Neighborhood Plan, which is absolutely remarkable. So I just want the families to know that, the ballot proposals, first of all, turn your ballots over when you're voting. Don't be done, on the first side, turn it over. There are ballot proposals there. And I want to hone in on proposals 2, 3, and 4. They are misleading. They're a broad brush in their verbiage and saying, let's fast track housing, let's make housing better, let's make it more affordable. And if you just look at it with the naked eye, everybody's, oh, that's great, it sounds wonderful. But listen, the language that voters are going to see on the ballot to describe the proposals is misleading, and it hides that they actually strip our communities of their power to advocate for what they need from new development, like more affordable housing, like parks and schools and infrastructure investments. Those that will now have the voice, particularly the mayor, no matter what mayor it is, and the city planning and the Board of Standards and Appeals, they do not care about our neighborhood specifically. So let's look at Proposal 2. It's so-called Affordable Housing Fast Track, and this proposal has 2 parts. It claims to speed up approval, but it really just takes away voting power from communities, your elected representatives, and it gives it to unelected appointees of the mayor for certain housing development. This means that communities are going to lose their negotiating power to secure the levels of affordability or sizes of apartments that reflect the needs of residents in new development. Certain publicly financed housing development would no longer be subject to a vote by your elected representatives in the city council. So it strips the city council of the voice, and that voice is the voice of our constituents, mind you. The mayor's appointed Board of Standards and Appeals would be the only voice having that voting power. The second part of that proposal, too, is for proposed housing development in 12 community districts that are deemed to have the lowest rate of construction permitted affordable housing will no longer, during a 5-year period, and no longer be subject to a vote by the city council. Instead, the city planning commission that is dominated by unelected appointees of the mayor would now decide. Now, we see a familiar theme going on here. So why is this proposal misleading? Well, it does not actually seriously address delays in the approval process, which they're saying, the city council holds up the approval process. That's nonsense. There are about 900 days, Bettina and Jennifer, that it takes for the city agencies and environmental review to happen. And approximately 730 of those 900 days, those agencies eat up that time. Council has no role there. By the time it gets to us, we have 65 maximum days to do our process. So again, something's wrong with this equation. The other part of Proposal 2 is that those communities with the lowest density, again, the council members will not have a voice to negotiate for you in those communities of what looks right, of what we need in those communities. So there's an issue that the communities are going to lose their control over what they want, over what is affordable, over what is actually needed as far as infrastructure, parks and schools and other things. They're going to give it to developers. Developers don't care what we need in our community. So that's Proposal 2. Proposal number 3 talks about modest development proposals, and we say so-called. Once again, this language is so misleading. The ballot language claims to simplify the approval process for modest development projects, but it really, again, just removes approval power from local communities through their local elected representatives, and it gives them to the City Planning Commission, which, again, is dominated by unelected appointees of the mayor. So again, without this, local residents, your community boards, your civics, folks that we listen to, our constituents, will lack the negotiating power and the development that can include the types of homes that do not meet the needs of all neighborhoods. All of our neighborhoods don't look the same. So when we say in some of our neighborhoods, most of our neighborhoods actually, particularly residential neighborhoods, we need 3 bedrooms, we need 2 bedrooms. Well, the developer can come in and say, you know what, we've got to develop here no matter what. We're going to give you all studios. We can say nothing about that because we've got no voice at the table anymore. Your voice is gone. So that's going to be proposal number 3. Proposal number 4, let's look at this so-called appeals board. Now, proposal 4 would establish an appeals board that takes final decision-making power away from a community's elected representatives. Once again, here we go, all 3 proposals. Your voice is swept out of the equation altogether. So your elected officials' power is gone with this standard appeals board, and it creates this board that's made up of the city council speaker, a representative from the mayor, and the representative or respective borough president. So this board is brought in even when there may have been approval by the city council to make this proposal even better. So what this would possibly do is weaken the community's negotiating power once again to possibly gain more affordable housing and investments for your local parks and schools, public transit to actually meet community needs. And it undermines the balance between citywide and local concerns. It undermines transparency because guess what, everybody? There's no public hearing requirement for this so-called appeals board. So again, the main message for this proposal is that it undermines the community's power, your voices to negotiate more affordable housing in your neighborhood investments, and it weakens the ability to make sure that development is accountable to the local needs of the residents. So those are proposals 2, 3, and 4 in a nutshell. What it does is it is misleading, and it takes away the power of the local representative and the community. Democracy is being eroded if these proposals pass.
Wow. I had a question for each proposal, and you answered all of them, so I did not have to present my questions, but I'll pass it on to Sister Jennifer if she has any questions or concerns that she would like to raise before we let you go, Madam Speaker. Jennifer?
So very much appreciate you being with us and you're laying all of this out for us. Let me first say I have many friends and colleagues, longtime friends and colleagues, people who I respect dearly, who served on this commission. And I have not talked directly with them about these ballot measures. I was very concerned when I first read them because they do read like it's like Christmas morning, like, you know, like everything that you would ever want. And having served as a Charter Commission chair, I was, you know, I know that you have to be very, very thoughtful about how you put the information out so you don't, like, necessarily leave people one way or the other. So when I read them, I was like, is it as true? You know, is it like Christmas morning that everything is going to be wonderful? And I have immense respect for the people who served, many of the people who served in this commission. In this era, in this moment of growing authoritarianism, it reads to me like, you know, it's an effort to diminish the checks and balances we have. I moderated a panel earlier this week on housing and activating, you know, faith communities' property rights to build more affordable housing. And there was actually almost a shouting match that occurred between a community member and someone on the panel who was advocating for these ballot measures. And the person in the community said, you are essentially taking away the community's voice. And the person on the panel responded, well, you must not care about people who are homeless because you just want the status quo, as though these measures, these ballot measures that actually are taking power away from the city council are the only way to deal with homelessness. And my response was, there are many solutions, and we shouldn't have solutions that actually clip the community's tongue. So, and like, where are we to sit on this? For me, it just keeps on coming down to, are we really advancing the community's voice in this? Doesn't the city council represent the community? And just, that's right. I'm confused.
Yeah. Oh, Jen, you know, you bring up such a great point, and that is essentially the shouting match across the table. Well, you just don't want, you know, housing to be built, or you're NIMBY. That's what we keep. You're NIMBY. Let me tell you something. This city council, once again, has been the most pro-housing city council in a generation. So these folks that are saying that city council is NIMBY and we don't want housing, baloney. Our record, particularly in these past 4 years under my leadership, has set a new trend for building housing. We successfully got the city of Yes, which we call the city for all, because it looks totally different than what the mayor originally proposed for us in the city council. We negotiated an additional $5 billion to make that proposal happen. The most pro-housing proposal in the history of the city of New York, which the mayor takes credit for. That's fine, but it was really the voices of the city council that made that city of Yes a reality. That is going to create more housing for the city than ever seen before. So I'm wondering what folks are talking about when they're saying that we don't want housing. That is nonsense. Everybody wants housing. We just don't want the voices of the people taken away from the negotiating table, and that's exactly what will happen. It may not even necessarily create that quote-unquote affordable housing. People are always saying affordable for who? That's what the city council says also when we get to the negotiating table. Affordable for who? Those voices are going to be lost. We're not going to be able to have any say-so as far as what we need in individual districts. This is the most diverse city council in the history of the city of New York, and the members know what their constituents need. They know when their parks are overrun. They know when their schools need more seats. They know when infrastructure like the flooding situation in Southeast Queens must be remediated. We're the ones that know because we're the ones that listen to the voices. We live in our districts, and with those voices taken away, we're done. Affordability? What affordability? We've got a rubber stamp to developers if we let this happen. Much less, my pet peeve, and I know a lot of others on this that are listening to us, gentrification, we're welcoming it. Your voice of democracy eroded. Gentrification, door wide open to developers if these pass.
Oh, see, this is why we have to put out this information. It's very, very important so people know. Like Madam Speaker, Adrienne Adams here in New York City just mentioned, do not just vote on the first page. Turn that ballot over and deal with these proposals out there. Madam Speaker, before we let you go, just want to get a comment from you as an elected official. We saw last week where federal agents ICE members arrested 9 undocumented street vendors in a crackdown on counterfeit goods. But advocates said the raids target immigrant workers as vendors slowly return, saying they have no choice but to keep working. And of course, President Donald Trump has sent ICE agents across the nation's Portland, Chicago, now here New York City, into New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. We saw where Mayor Ras Baraka of Newark, New Jersey was detained and then released. We see a Congress member also arrested and now on trial for standing up against Donald Trump and these ICE agents. I want to get a comment from you about what's taking place here in New York City and across the country by President Trump.
Outrageous. It's outrageous to see the billions of dollars that the Trump administration has now put in to ICE, to his department, that rogue department. It's unrecognizable. And I'm not one in the past or whatever that has said abolish ICE. But what has to be done is completely restructuring that rogue department or organization. This is not what ICE is supposed to be. Masked madmen disappearing people from the streets of our cities. This is outrageous. The militarization of our cities. And New York, yeah, we're in the crosshairs now. We saw the roundup the other day, and they were targeted, Jennifer. They were targeted. These were primarily black vendors. Let's put that out there, OpenLine family. These were primarily black vendors that want to put food on the table. Yes, some of them are illegal. That is what the NYPD is for. That is what their sting operations are for. They are actively pursuing sting operations. There is no need for ICE to come and brutalize folks, drag them off the streets. I have a witness. One of my daughters was hung up in traffic on Canal Street, driving from her job, and she's texting me going, "I don't believe what I see out here, Mom. This is what we see on TV. I'm looking at people getting dragged through the streets. I'm looking at vendors being pulled away from their wares, and ICE is out here in droves. We have got to make sure that we are voting our conscience when it comes to the federal representation, when it comes to local representation, when it comes to state representation. We are going to have the voices that are sound of mind, because it is not just blinking the eye. I'm going to say it loud and proud again. Family Project 2025 on full blast for this nation to see. We have got to come together and fight this thing. And again, if you haven't read a page of it, OpenLine family, open it up, Google it, read at least 10, 15, 20, 30 pages of this document, and you realize what we are in for right now under the hands and the guise, not even the guise, but the reality of true authoritarianism. We see a wrecking ball to the People's House in Washington, D.C. Somebody said it earlier this week. What an amazing metaphor to what is going on to and with the United States of America under Donald Trump, felon 47.
Felon 47, I like that. I'll leave Sister Jennifer with the last comment here with Madam Speaker of the City of New York, Adrienne Adams. Jennifer?
Just want to thank you for being with us, and want to thank you for your leadership, want to thank you for your work. When you first came on and talked about how long you've been listening to OpenLine, I couldn't help but appreciate what you were sharing, but add that you've listened and you've been a part, because the community, from my vantage point, has always been your primary concern. And what just brings me great joy and comfort is that you're not ending your tenure as Speaker as a lame duck. You are going out fighting like a lion, and I could not respect and appreciate that more, because that's what the community needs in this moment. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Love you both tremendously.
Love you back. And Jennifer made the statement about Christmas morning. That statement sound like Christmas morning right there. Sister Jennifer, but yes, Madam Speaker Adrienne Adams, terrific, tremendous job out there that you are doing in the New York City Council. Again, I want to thank New York City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams for joining us to explain about these proposals, especially Proposal 2, 3, and 4. And folks, turn it over if you need more information. Where can folks find more information about these proposals, Madam Speaker?
You can, of course, go to NYC Votes, or you can go to our nyc.council website to get more information on these proposals. I will be voting early today. I encourage everybody out there, vote early, and we are against. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you what I'm against. I'm against ballot proposals 2, 3, and 4, for sure.
There you go. All right. Again, New York City Council, Madam Speaker Adrienne Adams, for joining us this morning here on Open Line. Thank you for that, Madam Speaker. And I want you to have a great day and rest of the week, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, folks, what we're going to do, there you go. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break. And when we come back, Jennifer and I will discuss some of the other issues out there. We mentioned a little bit about Breast Cancer Awareness Month and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we'll keep that on the table as well, along with some other issues that Jennifer and I will raise. You're listening to Open Line right here on 107.5 WBLS. We'll be right back after these messages.
PartyandChronicle.com.
Welcome back to Open Line right here on 107.5 WBLS with Brother Fatim Muhammad and his sister Jennifer Jones Austin Esquire. To reach us here on Open Line, give us a call, 212-545-1075. You can reach us on Facebook and X by going to WBLS 1075 NYC. That is one word. And we are streaming live on the WBLS app and at WBLS.com. A couple of quick announcements. Our conversation continues on Open Line Online, coming up at 9:10 a.m. Streaming live on the WBLS Facebook page at facebook.com/WBLS 1075 NYC. We'll keep the discussion going from today's on-air show with the top news stories and more with the Open Line Online team of Bobby Childs, Jamie Harris, Sabrina Lamb, and Larry Ham, of course, and myself, Brother Fatim. And we will also be joined by John Boyd, founder and president of the nonprofit National Black Farmers Association, and Brother Eitan Edwards, founder and executive director of the International Preparedness Network. We got to talk a little bit about this U.S. military escalation in the Caribbean. Wake up, folks. You heard what New York City Speaker Adrienne Adams said. ICE members, you thought it was just the Latino community? You rolled on New York City. You rolled on black folks. Black folks, wake up. All right? Continuing on the air will be Sunday morning with Reverend Al Sharpton, coming up at the top of the hour at 9 a.m. to be followed by the legendary MLTEP Gary Bird with Express Yourself at 10 a.m. That's what we got going on our Open Line community event bulletin board right there. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, I'll mention again, New York City and in New Jersey, early voting started yesterday, October 25th, and it runs through Sunday, November 2nd, with the general election taking place Tuesday, November 4th. Or you can get out there and have your voice heard. So, Sister Jennifer, we mentioned a little bit at the top of the show, a little bit about October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month and Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There's a couple other stories out there, but folks want to chime in, give us a call, 212-545-1075. Sister Jennifer, there was a second general election debate here in New York City, in the New York City mayoral race. And a couple of highlights. So New York Assembly member Zoran Mondani and Andrew Cuomo engaged in sharp personal attacks about experience, integrity, leadership, all which were on the table. Meanwhile, Curtis Sliwa acted as a disruptor, clashing with both and refusing calls to bow out of the race. Scandals, identity, politics, policy shift. Mandani faced questions about his past photo with an anti-LGBTQ Ugandan official. Andrew Cuomo brought up sexual harassment allegations. Identity and religions are factored. On policy, all condemn recent ICE raids in Chinatown on Canal Street, but on how to deal with President Donald Trump, Cuomo said confrontation, sleeveless, and negotiation, and Mandani said he'll work with Trump on affordability and confirm he would keep Jessica Tisch as the NYPD commissioner if elected. We also saw when New York City Mayor Eric Adams came out and endorsed Andrew Cuomo for New York City mayor. So we saw that there. We also know that's in the news. Millions of New Yorkers could lose SNAP benefits by the beginning of November, which begins next Saturday, November 1st. And then, of course, as we mentioned with Madam Speaker Adrienne Adams, we saw the raids in Chinatown on Canal Street, this ICE raid by Donald Trump, ICE enforcement team. So those are some of the issues that we have on the slate to talk about this morning. So as Jennifer makes a couple of
Line on GuardianChronicle.com.
Again, that telephone number to reach us here at OpenLine, 212-545-1075. Jennifer?
So I think we should also add one other thing that happened this week in connection with the New York City mayoral race. And I know you're aware of this, but the conversation that Cuomo had on radio with a talk show host where Cuomo essentially said something about, imagine if there was another 9/11 and Mamdani was running the city, and the host said, oh, he'd be out there cheering them on. And, what is reported is that Cuomo paused and then he chuckled and then he said, well, that's another problem. And I bring that up not, to challenge, not to say, not in support of one candidate or another, but just, like how that I've learned has left so many Muslim brothers and sisters in here in New York City feeling all the more vulnerable. Like, what was essentially being, possibly being inferred or insinuated there. And, on top of questions about whether or not, one person is more or less qualified, can we just leave it there? Can we not, essentially cause, issues and feelings of people feeling safe or not? I feel like we're in this moment where it's like, on one hand, people want to say that Zohran Mamdani is an anti-Semite because he supports Palestinians and speaks against the genocide of Palestinians. But yet on the other side, it sounds like it's okay to condemn people who are Muslim and who feel one way about the Palestinians. It's too much right now. And what it seems to be lost time and time again is we're not really having a conversation about the people of the city of New York and what their struggles are. And I think that we keep getting into this. We're actually being tossed around. I'll comment about Eric Adams endorsing Cuomo. I'm going to tell you that disturbed me at my core. I know this is politics, and I know that politics makes for strange bedfellows. And I know that one day you can be, just going hard against your opponent, and the next day you've locked arms. But just think about this. A seasoned veteran Democrat decided that the city was in a hot mess. Andrew Cuomo was resolute that the city was being run ineffectively, incompetently. These are his words, essentially. Adams, in return, said, essentially that Cuomo was a snake. He was a liar. He was not to be trusted. The people couldn't put their faith in them. And now they lock arms in this newfound brotherhood? What are we as community to believe? Are we to believe that they are, I don't know. Are they really moving in our best interest? Or is there something else that they're seeking to do here? These are the questions that their newfound brotherhood raises for me. Not because I'm this like beloved Mom Donnie supporter. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just like, who's really riding for the people of the city of New York? What is this all about? That's where I am this morning.
Let's turn to the people. 212-545-1075. You're correct, Sister Jennifer. Let's turn it over to the folks now, our special guests, our listening audience. All right, let's start and let's go down the line here. Let's go to line 5, and hopefully I'm pronouncing or correct me. It's Aracelia from Queens calling us this morning. Did I pronounce your name? If not, please give me the correct pronunciation of your name.
Continue to get A+. You paid attention in that class on orthophonics.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Good morning.
Listening to Open Line on WBLS.
I want to say two things. Yes, it's not politics, it's politics. And so they try to trick our minds and throw different things at us so that we're not looking at the real picture. We are not looking at the real picture of what needs to be done to run this city. And we had to see the Como and Adams situation coming. I mean, that was like full circle. But one of the other things that's very important, we know this month is breast cancer awareness. It's also other events going on for breast cancer awareness. But we have to not overshadow the other events taking place. For instance, this month is Suicide Awareness Month. This month is Senior Appreciation Month. This month we are also celebrating other events, and we cannot let the youth, the seniors, and suicide awareness overshadow all of what's going on. So our youth are very important to us. I would like to suggest that we have these events in different months so that each one can get their due respect.
Well said. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your comment this morning. Let's go to line 1 and bring Patricia calling us from Manhattan this morning. Good morning, Patricia. Welcome to Open Line.
Oh, good morning, Brother Fatima and Sister Jennifer. I hope all is well with you this morning. I just want to make a couple of quick comments. I am a 15-year breast cancer survivor, and I want you to know that I am the face of why mammograms are so important. I got my mammogram every year. I never missed a year. And between one mammogram and the subsequent mammogram, I developed breast cancer. So my cancer was discovered extremely early. I went to Memorial Sloan Kettering, just the best place for cancer in the world. And now, 15 years later, it's like it never happened. So I really want to put a plug. Yeah, I want to put a plug in, Jennifer. I know you know what I speak. I want to put a plug in for women. Make sure you get those mammograms every year, because I got mine every year, and it still happens to me. But the other thing I wanted to follow up on what Jennifer just said, when you see Adams endorsing Cuomo after everything they said to one another, about one another, this is what makes politics so insidious and nasty and dirty, and why people don't believe in politics. So one of the things that, I don't know if you've read, that Adams has a plan to hack the Rent Guidelines Board with appointees so that he can thwart Mandami's plan to freeze the rent. And I said to myself, my God, you have people who can't afford their rent, and you would do this to them? So here again, politics is nasty, but this is really disgraceful. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, Sister Patricia. I'm going to turn over the phones to Sister Jennifer. We're going to try to go express and try to get as many phone calls in the remaining minutes. Jennifer, you have the call screen in front of you?
All right, I'm right here. Let's go to line 8 to Renee from Brooklyn.
Good morning, Open Line, and I listen to you every Sunday. I was calling because I'm glad you had Adrian Adams on, because me and my son, we were very confused about those proposals. And yesterday we went through each one, and it was confusing to read, but we read the yes and the no, and we realized who was taking the power away. So if you voted yes, we don't have any power. So So I'm so glad that she was on today to clarify it, because we did vote no. And thank you again. And we have breast cancer in my family, and we go for our mammograms, and we fight for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to line 3 to Samuel from Queens. Good morning, Samuel.
I'm not surprised. Good morning. I'm not surprised. Adam joined with Cuomo. Remember, Vice President Vance? They called Trump a Hitler, and now he's side by side. So Adam is just doing his bidding for his master Trump. Trump set him free, so he's doing a return. And I think Hakeem Jeffries' endorsement was lukewarm too. And I want to thank Curtis Stewart for staying in the race and not to let people pressure him to drop out. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Appreciate that, Samuel. Right there. Yes.
Let's go to line 6 to Michael from the Bronx. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, everyone. First off, with the debate, Curtis Stewart shows himself to be an absolute clown and hasn't learned from the last time he ran for mayor. How can we trust him to follow law and order when he cannot follow the rules of the debate? Always constantly calling out, interrupting. He don't respect the moderators. And as far as the proposals, I voted yesterday, right on top of it. And I looked at those proposals, and I'm very bothered by every one of them. But one thing I was hoping for Ms. Adams to discuss, I think it was number 5, when it said about having the elected offices, if I understood correctly, which would be the mayoral races, the governors, all those major races coincide with the schedule of the presidential election. Now, to me, that looked like a power grab, and again, an attempt to take our voices away. There are 3 levels of government: federal, state, and local. And I think it would be very devastating if that was to be abolished and be controlled by one control freak whose name I absolutely refuse to mention this morning.
Sounds good, Michael. Appreciate it. Thank you for your call and your comments this morning. Jennifer, take one more call there.
All right. I'm on a roll. Let's go to line 7 to Salim from the Bronx. Good morning, Salim.
Hey, good morning, family. I just appreciate everything you guys have been doing over the years. And a comment that was made when they have these commercials for mayor, they cited Mandami for joining forces with Imam Sahaj Wahaj. And I mean, if that was anything negative, they went back 30 years, and then they cited that he joined with someone who attacked the World Trade Center back in, I believe it was 1993. And it struck a nerve, because, they're using religion against politics, and there's nothing wrong with him believing in his faith, because I have the same faith, and I'm not siding with him because of that, but it's just the fact that it just looked ugly. Like the ladies before me said, politics is very insidious. And then I also wanted to comment about jihad. They use the word jihad in Islam. That's a holy war against
Line on WBLS 107.5
situation.
FM.
And basically, I feel that over the hundreds of years, they have jihaded against Africans, in this country, and basically that's what we stand up for every week. And I appreciate you guys being there for
Open microphone for the people on OpenLine WBLS.
To us, and it's time that we recognize that if he's for the people, let freedom ring. And that's my comments for this morning.
Appreciate that, Brother Salim. Imam Siraj Wahaj, who I do know. He had members that attacked. He didn't.
Open line, WBLS 107.5 FM, New
And
York.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because not only about the bombing, but about the word jihad, because when you don't have a platform, when everybody's talking about Israel, but no one gets a chance to talk about the other side and to explain, but the Israeli side and the supporters of that side get the platforms and the programs to talk about these things and then explain to the other side and how they feel. They have no platform. So I'm kind of glad that you raised that this morning. Jennifer, since you on a roll and we have two more callers, hold on, let's see if we can squeeze them in. Go ahead, Sister Jennifer.
GuardianChronicle.com, broadcasting WBLS 107.5.
Good morning, Zachariah.
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing?
Good.
The thing
You got to come off the speakerphone.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
WBLS 107.5 FM, OpenLine.
I heard the debate. I hear Cuomo talking. I hear Adams talking. And they're saying that Curtis...
Not Adams. Adams was not in the debate. He was not in this debate. He said Adams.
Well, I'm sorry. But, right, you're right. And I heard Cuomo basically talking about the Muslim brother.
On WBLS in New York, on GuardianChronicle.com.
No experience in this, that, and other, all these things. And then they also talked about Curtis Weaver.
GuardianChronicle.com, broadcasting OpenLine, WBLS FM, New York.
With them guardian angels when, robberies and things at all times high, So we can't discount Curtis from New York. He did do a good job. I'm not a Republican and never...
OpenLine, WBLS 107.5 FM, New York.
And handling 9/11 and all these other things. Well, guess what? The president has never even been a district leader, and he has he's running the most powerful nation on earth. So I mean, is those guys, Adams and Cuomo, are they goofy like the Disney character that's called Goofy? That's goofy no matter what he does.
Mm-hmm.
That's my question.
Appreciate that, Zachariah. Appreciate that.
Right. Can I just say real quickly on that?
OpenLine on WBLS FM, New York.
Most people don't have, experience managing major crises until the crises strike. So before the COVID pandemic, Cuomo had never managed an epidemic, a pandemic. Like, it's kind of wild when you think about it that way. You don't know how to manage a crisis of that proportion until the crisis hits. So stop it.
There you go. Right there. Well, we're going to have to leave it there. I apologize to James. We were not able to get to you. That's the only call left holding. I apologize, James, but call back in next week on the issues that we bring to the table. We're going to have to leave it there. Sister Jennifer, your final thoughts.
We got a few days to get out there and vote at the local level. Let's get out there and do it. And make sure.
Line WBLS 107.5 FM.
Just based on the platforms that they sit on, that they occupy. Do your own homework.
Exactly. I want to thank our special guest this morning, New York City Council Speaker Adrian Adams. I also got to give love to my sister and co-host Jennifer Jones Austin Esquire for your wisdom and your fire, my sister, and to our OpenLine family behind the scenes, Knowledge Born, our producer, associate producer Robin Williams, another associate producer Juliana Merville, and our tech producer Rick Wright. Thank you for the heart, hustle, and the excellence you bring every week. And family, what a show.
And love to you for leading us and guiding us every week. Much love.
Thank you. I appreciate that. From our deep dive with New York City Council Speaker Adrian Adams clarifying the truth behind Mayor Eric Adams' ballot proposals to the heated moments in the New York City mayoral debate, the endorsement drama, the SNAP benefit crisis, and the Canal Street raid. Today's conversation reminded us just how much is at stake right now in our communities. And that's why your voice and your vote.
OpenLine on WBLS 107.5 FM in
voting
New York.
Or on Election Day, November 4th, make sure you show up and show out, because every single vote is a declaration of power, purpose, and participation in shaping the kind of city and nation we want to live in. So don't sit this one out. Vote early, vote informed, and vote with intention. Because when we don't speak, others speak for us, and we've come too far for that. We're diving into the U.S. military escalation in the Caribbean and what it means for our people here and abroad on the OpenLine online show coming up on OpenLine Online on WBLS Facebook page. So until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, and stay involved. I'm your brother Fatim, alongside my sister in purpose, the always brilliant Jennifer Jones Austin Esquire. And this has been OpenLine from the Soul and Talk of New York, 107.5 WBLS.
United States President Donald J. Trump has laid off 4,000 federal workers, has taken your paycheck, has taken your health care. But remember, the Creator has plans for you. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for peace and not for evil, to give you hope and a future. Hope and a future. Cling on to hope and a future. Jeremiah 29, chapter 11. Peace and blessings to you and your family.